viewers of the near region. I'm very glad that you would be joining us during this interview. The guest today is one that is very special, and his work is very special as well. His focus is on Dhi Qar. So before I welcome my guest, I would like to briefly be able to introduce him. Uh, Dr. Hussein Mishbak is a non-resident research fellow at the Institute of Regional and International Studies, IRIS, and his work has been mainly on the Qar province. He is basically he has done his doctorate in he has a PhD in biomedical engineering from the University of Manchester, and he has contributed to Iris's Iraq economic review. Apart from that, he has addressed several different topics, including climate change, and environmental sustainability, and other topics as well. He has given speeches and lectures on such topics in different countries around the world, including Brazil, Japan, the UK, the US, South Africa, Portugal, and the UAE. I hope I didn't miss much because words wouldn't do him justice. Dr. Hussein, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Mr. Dilan. Thank you very much indeed for this generous introduction. And Assalamu alaikum to your guest and hello, everyone.
Thank you. So, Dr. Hussein, you recently published an article for IRIS, the Institute for Regional and International Studies. The article is titled Assessing the Impact of Agricultural Policy on Food Security in Iraq. And the case of Dhi Qar, the specific focus of your article is Dhi Qar. Dhi Qar to us is a very, very precious province in Iraq. If we go back in history, I'm pretty sure it's perhaps where agriculture first started in Mesopotamia, because that's where the Sumerians were. Essentially, we have historical records of the Sumerians being there. And to date, it is a very hot spot of agriculture in the country. So to start, I read your report, and you make some very interesting points, including the government has some decent policies, and for years they have been subsidizing certain things for farmers across the country. But what you say is essentially that these policies could at times and have at times backfired. While the policies in writing sound very good to me, where exactly does the issue rise with them?
Thank you once again, Mr. Dilan, for giving me this opportunity to disseminate I would say this findings or key findings regarding this policy brief study that been published a few days ago with colleagues from IRIS. So let me give you a very brief about this study.
Yes.
This study mainly focused on, I would say, assessing the national policies on the local economy of the Qar agriculture sector. More than 75% of the rural area people, their economy mainly depending on agriculture. So we are talking about almost 40% of our people in the Qar, they are relying directly on agriculture. However, as you mentioned, these policies aimed and tend to, relieve the farmers, contribute to the food security on the national level, and also enhance their lives. So we discussed the three different policies, mainly the initiative, the Agriculture Initiative 2008 up to 2014, and then I would say it's not a policy, but it's a kind of a policy. It's not like a formal policy. So the pricing policies and also adaptation of technology. These different schemes, plans, strategies, policies, you name it, they had a mixed results. Yeah. So that's why when we analyze the data for such important strategic crops like wheat and barley, we have noticed that, okay, in terms of wheat, we have observed that the wheat being increased in terms of cultivation versus harvested land area, production kilogram per ton, and of course yield. So that's alarming us. However, it was a vice versa for the barley production. I have mentioned something in the report. The numbers not really in my mind. So we've produced almost 150 thousand tons. However, in 2023, we produced 6,000 and something ton of barley. So that was something that target a very has alarmed a very important and revealed a very important message, not only for farmers and for the local economy, however, for the national security of food national security. As you know, also that Dhi Qar is one of the main provinces that has livestock like cattle, buffaloes, sheep, so on and so forth. We have almost 500,000 to 600,000 of livestock, around 285,000 cattle. This is an official numbers by the Ministry of Agriculture.
Yes.
And these livestock need a fodder. So just imagine, mainly we use barley for fodder, and that means we will import a very expensive fodder from abroad. So this is something that raised and alarming us to assess the policies that been implemented during this period of time.
I see. So in your reports, you said that the policies, while they intend to alleviate burdens, as you said a few minutes ago as well, they might accomplish the opposite. And this conclusion was essentially drawn from interviews you did with local farmers and locals in the area. Could you tell us about what the farmers said, and how could the policies backfire on them personally? Because essentially the subsidies, you mentioned that some farmers get barely anything left for them when it comes to revenue after they have had their crops
Okay, yeah.
to the government.
Thank you. This is a very important question, actually. I have interviewed different key informat, expert academia people, and also farmers. Probably I have mentioned some key informat from academia and also agriculture expert from the Dhi Qar Directorate of Agriculture and also from the Ministry of Agriculture. There are different concerns regarding the farmers. Unfortunately, the policies, usually when they form any policy, they would set some, or they will go to the ground, to the people, seeking their actual needs in terms of drafting policies, what they need exactly. So some of the policies and the schemes being implemented was the agriculture loans to the farmers. However, they didn't take in their consideration when they um, loan farmers such amount of money, and it has to be paid in such a certain time with this benefits, blah, blah, blah. But the issue they didn't take in their consideration, the consequences, for example, of climate change and how much we are losing as farmer from their perspective, how much they lose
I
of
see.
their land annually. And also the other important aspect from their perspective, the benefits rate that being established by the bank responsible for these loans. So when it comes and they have to pay, and there is, for example, no production this year, so there is no exception for the farmers. So that's why they feel that this was a burden for them because they cannot repay their loans.
And does this apply to all farmers or parts of them? Is it like, does it depend on the size of the farm?
Yeah, mainly when I took that was alleviated by farmers from northern area of the Qar, basically in Dawaya, Nasr, Rafai, these cities. Uh, but rather than that, some people they were okay with that.
I see. Uh, so in the report and based on the graphs you have put in there, the charts you have put in there, there is um, what I'm getting, the reason the government does not really uh, address people's production of barley as much as they do when it comes to wheat is that the government doesn't see the actual demand for barley. If indeed there is not enough demand for barley, why don't these farmers just switch to wheat? Or is there something the government is understanding wrong in the process, which is why they only care about wheat more rather than caring about different crops?
In my this is a personal point of view. I would um, say that this is one of the side effect or intended results of implementing such a pricing policies when they don't take in their consideration to put such a prices, good prices for farmers to grow barley, then farmers basically they will switch to wheats because they know that they will sell their product to the government. Their income is 100% guaranteed, and there would be some benefits also. As I mentioned in the report, the operation cost per dunum would goes 250, 300,000 to 435,000 Iraqi dinar. However, the government has set a very good price, 800,000 to 850, with some incentives for people, for farmers who use irrigation technologies. But in this regard, they didn't mention for a few years, probably there was some pricing policies in previous years for barley, but for the recent years, there was no such a policy. So that has affected directly the barley grow in our province. And as I mentioned, definitely there is a demand for barley. Different industries use barley, but mainly in the Qar, we use barley for as a fodder.
Yeah.
Which means, as I mentioned before, we have, so for example, we have almost 600,000 livestock categorized as buffaloes, probably 70 to 80,000 buffaloes, 185, probably 285 sheep, 185 cattle. So these numbers of livestock were directly affected. Especially we are talking about, water scarcity, climate change being hitting the Qar province for the last few years. So this is a very significant, this has a very significant impact on barley growers. That's why we have recommended that government could also promote price policies for barley and barley growers.
So I want to move on to a topic. I mean, you have not dwelled on it much in your report, but I mean, it's one that we care about a lot at the New Region, and that's the effects of climate change on Iraq. And as you know, that the Qar is perhaps one of the provinces that has been struck by the effects of climate change worse than most other provinces. Uh, we saw the marshlands drying up, almost drying up at times, and at times completely drying up. The historic marshlands of Iraq, and so many other things. If you just Google drought and Dhi Qar, you will see the disaster that has happened in that province over the past few years. What has the government really done to address this issue, and how has such, I mean, as far as I know, they have not done enough, but how has them not doing enough affected the local livelihoods in the province?
Yeah, this is a very true. Iraq, one of the most vulnerable countries in the region, and for different reasons, not only for the water scarcity and the high heat and waves of heat during the summer season, but also we have no infrastructure to mitigate the impact of climate change on our sectors, either industrial, education, or other sectors, agriculture sectors. The last statistics being revealed by the Ministry of Planning, they are one of the highest problems in terms of migrating people from the marshland area and from other districts in Dhi Qar to other cities, either Najaf, Karbala, and Basra, in particular in Zubair. We have more than 72,000 person being displaced, enforced, I would say climate displacement to other cities seeking for new adventure, new livelihood. So this report not exactly consider the climate change. However, we have noticed that the implemented policies, they didn't consider any climate change impact and consequences on the farmer, on the land, on other perspectives. And as far as I know, I have discussed with different formal people from the ministry, officials from the Ministry of Agriculture. They have mentioned that the new strategy they are drafting at the moment, they will take in their consideration different aspects of climate change and the Iraqi commitment to the Sustainable Development Goals and other commitments regarding the climate agreements, national and international climate agreements, and other commitments that Iraq been committed to spend such amount of money to develop this and this sector. Yes, unfortunately, the policies they didn't consider, they didn't take care of the climate change consequences on the farmer in the Qar. And that has, of course, a very serious impact on their livelihood. As I mentioned, more than 72 till mid of September 2024 being migrated to other cities.
Yeah. So, Dr. Hussein, I don't have any more questions, but if you have anything else to add, the ground is yours, essentially.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dilan. And thanks in advance for your audience and for the readers who have already read or probably will read the report. I would say in a very short sentences. For the policymaker, please take in your consideration the climate change impact and also the water scarcity in the southern region of Iraq. Also try to promote agricultural technologies, introduce new crops that mitigate the situation in our either province and the southern region and the whole Iraq. I know that there is a certain issues in Dhi Qar, but there are certain issues, different issues in Nainawa, and there is a certain different issues in Kurdistan region. We need probably tailored, I would say, policies for each province, for each region, to address the issues there and to promote agriculture industry to be back. The agriculture industry employ more than 20% of our people in Iraq, and the agriculture industry contribute about 4 point something to our GDP. However, for example, in 1990, it was almost 25 to 30% of our GDP. So we need to take in our consideration, it is a very urgent and very important to draft new policies, taking in our consideration the ground people, the farmers' opinion and their needs. And thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, sir. I mean, we too hope that what was once called the Fertile Crescent thrives again, once again in this region. And again, Dr. Hussein Mishbak, non-resident fellow, research fellow at the Institute of Regional and International Studies. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much indeed for your time. Thank you for your wonderful media channel, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.